Hello everyone. Today's video is not about either of my bearded dragons, but what I am going to do is show you how I squeezed the fish that I decided to keep from my 265-gallon dream aquarium into a 36-gallon bow front. They've been in my holding tank, i.e. trash can, for about a month and a half, and now it is time to get them into their permanent home. So I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. Step one is to get this thing cleaned up and ready to go. So it doesn't look so terrible. This has been sitting in my basement for a while with a bunch of stuff inside of it. Obviously been previously cleaned, so it's not going to take a ton of work, but we need to get it just a little bit more clean. Hello, Sam. You're getting awfully close to the camera, buddy. You better get down. And there we are. The tank is cleaned and ready to go. The next step after cleaning it is to level the tank and the stand, because I know that this floor is anything but level and flat. Alright, now that that nightmare's over, we can start scaping the tank. And the first thing we're going to do is put the wood that we had in there before back in the tank. Alright, that's back together. There's enough space for us to get in there and scrub the tank. Scrub the glass without smashing the wood and everything. So the next thing we're going to do is start placing some of the rocks and figure out how we're going to go about doing that. I have a little bit of foam pad that I'm going to put underneath of the rocks that are in there, and that should help protect the bottom of the glass. So that's what we're doing next. So the key to this is to put something in the tank that's small enough so that you can still plant around it, while at the same time heavy enough that you can hold the wood down with the weight of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue these rocks to the wood with some super glue and a little bit of cotton balls, and that will help it to stay down and not go floating to the top of the tank. Okay, so now we want to keep these pieces of driftwood from floating to the top of the water. So in order to do that, I'm going to glue them to these rocks. Now, the best way I've found to do that is to put a little cotton, stuff a little cotton ball in there, and then use a little super glue, and then go right down in there and glue them onto that. Now you want to use the liquid super glue for this. Don't use the gel, because you want the liquid to completely and thoroughly soak the cotton ball that you're using. So you get in there and let it soak it up real nice. Now if you just do it just like that, it'll work, but it's going to take some time for it to activate, for it to dry, and we don't want it. I want to keep moving. I don't want to stop and play around for a little bit. The other issue is it's going to look white, and we don't want that to look white. We want to cover that up. So I find while it's still wet, if I dump a little sand or dirt or chunks of wood or something on there, that really helps to hide it, and you can't really see it that much. So that's kind of the sand that we're going to use for the top layer of our substrate, our capping sand, and that's going to hide the white cotton ball pretty nicely. Now these bottom rocks, they'll probably mostly be under the substrate anyway, you probably won't see it, but just in case. So we got that one done, and then there's a couple more over here we're going to do real quick on this piece of wood. Just like that. Throw a little sand on them as well. Alright, so now you can sit and wait for 2 hours and let that dry, or you can use my secret weapon, is this Instaset stuff, and basically you just spray that on there and it cures it instantly. Now it does put up some fumes, so you want to be in relatively well vented space. Alright, we'll go ahead and move on and finish the rest and be back when we're done. Now that the wood is secure, we're going to start working on the substrate. We're going to start with a small layer of pea gravel, then we're going to put a little gardening soil on top of that for some nutrients for the plants, then a little bit more pea gravel, and then we're going to cap it all off with sand. And here is a final shot of the hardscape before I added scatter gravel and details. I figured I'd spare you the boredom of watching me shuffle rocks around until I found something that I liked. Now that the substrate is done, I wanted to come over here and give you a different view of its construction. So we started off at the very bottom with our pea gravel, then we moved on to our gardening soil. Now we don't want to use potting soil because that's going to be full of things like perlite that'll float to the surface and other things that just aren't necessary and you don't really want in an aquatic environment. So we used gardening soil, and then we have another little thin layer of the pea gravel, and we capped that all with our sand, which is going to hold that soil down. If we stir up the soil and get it mixed up into our water column, then we end up having lots of algae. So we want to make sure we have a nice thick cap on top of that to keep that down underneath of the water. The final step before planting is to do the detail stones. Now, since I don't have an aquascaping store anywhere near me, what I like to do is to go to my local fish store and purchase a couple of bags of different kinds of rock for your aquarium and mix them together. And this is what I get. And I like it because it's all different sizes and shapes and colors, and it just kind of blends everything in together real well. So that's what we're going to do next. So I've found the best way is just kind of let them fall wherever, and it looks more random and natural that way. If you try to get too precise with it, it just doesn't look quite right. Just kind of drop them down over the top and let them go wherever they're going to go. Now that the hardscape is done, we can prep the plants. Roll the montage. Now that we're done with the plant prep, we can start with the actual planting. So the first thing we're going to do is start with the microsword and the crypts and get those planted right here in the foreground. Once those are planted, then we're going to go ahead and fill the water up just a little ways just to kind of cover those. And then we could actually go ahead and put in our epiphytes. We're going to do Bobitus. I've got some Java fern, and then we also have a little bit of Anubias that we'll get up all in there. Once that's all done, then we're going to go ahead and fill it most of the rest of the way up. And then after that, we can go ahead and plant all of our stem plants and our Italian bough. We are ready for planting. Planted and filled up. She is a little bit hazy because we just got done filling it up with water and we really didn't kick up too much sand, so that's pretty good. But I went ahead and put in some AccuClear, so should be crystal clear tomorrow. And we also currently have a couple of drip buckets going so we can get the fish in this evening. And once we get that done, it'll be all set. It's time to put the fish in the aquarium, and both the temperature and the pH that's in the buckets matches what's in the aquarium. So we can go ahead and do this. Now normally I wouldn't put as many fish in a brand new tank as I'm about to do, but these guys have been in the trash can with the aerator, as you guys have seen in some of the shorts and some of the other things I've done, for about a month and a half now. And they've been sitting in there with all the biomedia that was in the fluval canister filters that we had going on the 265-gallon tank. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put those fish in here, but we have all of that biomedia in the canister filter that's on this tank. So we shouldn't have any problems with a crash or ammonia spikes or anything like that. But just in case, we are going to monitor it, and I am going to take measurements and readings every day going forward for the next week or so just to make sure, but we should be all right. So having said that, let's put in the fish. Let's go ahead and put in the first bucket full of fish that we had. This is just aquarium water. There we go. We got some rummy nose tetras, rosy barbs, cherry barbs, Odessa barbs. There's even, come on, get out of there, buddy. Oh, black ruby barb. And our big pleco's got to get out of there. Come on, buddy. Come on. I know. I promise you'll like it better in the tank. There you go. There he goes. Our big male pleco that was in the 265 bristle nose. All right, let's get to bucket number 2. Let's go ahead and get the second bucket in here. It's a bunch more of the same, except we've got some baby albino bristlenose, and we got the female adult, and then just a bunch more of the same stuff. Oh, I also forgot we got our stare-by cories in there too, a whole school of them. Come on, guys, you can come out. There we go. And of course, our bristlenose don't want to come out again. Come on, guys. Out. There's the female. And 2 of the 3 babies. And there goes the third one. Woohoo!
2 days later, the fish have all colored up and the tank looks fantastic. Can't wait to see what it looks like a month from now. It's been about a month, and I decided that we needed some CO2 on the tank. I wanted to give the plants a little bit of a boost. And back here you can see I've got the CO2 cylinder with our regulator and our bubble counter going. Now, the CO2 cylinder is pretty big because I have plenty of space behind the tank, but there are smaller options if you don't have the space in your own aquarium. It's just what I happen to have had laying around.
We're 2 months in, and the fish are doing amazing, and the plants have had a chance to grow in. Let's take a look at the finished product.